Hard Hat's all about showing up to play hard, doing what it takes to win.
If you want to cement legacy, win another.
More Luke.
He's your third center.
You don't want to pump him up too much, but it's hard not to.
This might surprise you, but this is maybe the most I've ever agreed with you.
Come on.
I'd love to hear it.
We got the remix version.
We got the new one. We got the new one, Sherrod.
Well done.
New
Okay.
quotes in there. We got some more Luke talk, of course, in the intro.
Of course. Well, we'll have Luke talk tonight.
We may get some at a later point in the show as well. Bobby Manning joining us. You already know Sherrod Blakely with the Sherrod jersey in the background. I gotta get a jersey with my name on it.
It's a player. She plays for the New York Liberty.
That's when you know you've made it. But you're a player too. All right, 130-120. Celtics take a W against the Detroit basketball Pistons, formerly Sherrod Blakely's team.
Sherrod's Pistons, yeah.
Sherrod's Pistons, back in the glory
Detroit
days.
players.
Back in the glory days.
My guys.
We should do a show of just like your coverage of the Pistons back in the day. Like those are some fun teams, Sherrod. But that's for another show. We've got another fun team here. The Celtics are still rolling. Bobby Manning is at the TD Garden. Noa Dalzell is also at the TD Garden. We're going to be hearing from her later. And Joe Mazzulla is at the TD Garden. We're just going to go straight to Joe, kick things off, and see what he has to say.
Just pushing the pace. So, he kind of just has the ability to impact the game in different ways. So we saw it offensive rebounding, saw it shot making. I thought, obviously Beasley hit some tough ones, but I thought he did it the last few minutes of the game. We did a better job on him. And so he can just impact the game in so many different ways.
Here we go.
Joe, there were a lot of big plays in this game, like Cam just mentioned. Pritchard's offensive rebound in the threes, Jalen's dunk, Derek's block, stuff like that. You'll see Jalen emote, you'll see KP get hyped to the crowd. You've gotten pumped up on the sidelines before, but it seems like in a lot of those moments you'll clap your hands or you're just so locked in on the game. I'm curious, are you feeling that energy in those moments and you're just so locked into the game?
Can you feel it?
Showing it in those moments when you hear the crowd pop, when you see Jalen or KP get hyped, what are you feeling and how are you reacting in the moment?
I love that facial expression. God, we got to bring that back.
We're in the arena. We're playing in the Garden. The fans have our back. Our guys are playing hard. We're doing what we're supposed to do. That's the most important thing.
Do you enjoy seeing Jalen and KP embrace the crowd and get pumped up and stuff like that?
I enjoy watching guys have their own personality, whatever that may be, to impact the game. And so I want the guys to be.
I don't give a blank about
be able to impact the crowd. They're here to support us and to help us, and they do a tremendous job of that. So the most important thing, the thing I like is just being in the arena with the guys and competing at a high level. And I see the best
in the arena.
I see, the fans kind of help us.
You can tell he just saw Gladiator over the weekend. You can tell he saw Gladiator.
I'm asking because I'm confused and not because I'm trying to get you fined. But what was the explanation on the take foul call? Does that seem kind of confusing for the location?
I think there's a bunch of different components to the take foul. One of them is, so I think there's a small checklist or whatever it may be. So they just felt like it was, they felt like there was still speed and it was still a relatively transition situation.
Joe, with different guys in and out, different combinations, different guys' roles kind of evolve from game to game. Jalen is primarily a scorer who will make some passes off of reads, but in this one, he seemed to be seeing the floor really well. What did you see from him in that regard? And what does it say about him, his evolution as a player, where he can have a game where he's seeing everything the way he did?
No, it's been fun to watch him grow over the last few years in his reads. And, if you're watching him, you see him be able to process the game in real time and see the adjustments that are being made on him and recognizing the matchup, recognizing the spacing. I think he's gotten better. There was a couple of times where I was like, get what you want, dictate the defense. And he plays at a pace to where he can get to the spacing that he wants. He knows the shot that he wants. So he works at it every day, and it's fun watching him just continue to grow in the game and understand it in real time and get better. And it's fun talking to him during the game about it too.
And just coaching him in a film session or something like that. He's capable of having the dunk he had in Isaiah Stewart tonight. He's capable of doing that, going for that. But I know you want guys to make those rim reads when they're challenged to kick it out to the corners. How do you balance that when you're talking to him, coaching him, when he's capable of the highlight play, but also you want him to be able to see and kick and run that offense?
That was the right rim read. mean, to me, I want them to make the right read. If it's a layup, it's a layup. That's great. If it's a dunk, it's a dunk. If it's a pass, it's a pass. So there's no wrong answer as long as we get the shot that we want and we execute it. And so that was the right rim read. And so he works a lot on that because he has an understanding of the spacing and knows that he can create advantage and get by his guy, and he's going to be in those 2-on-1s. So, the right rim read is just that was it on that one. It was a great decision by him, and he works on those a ton.
Joe, Chicago the other night hit season high 23. Detroit hit 20 tonight. Are teams looking at the margins and saying we've got to hit threes to beat you? Like, are you noticing teams trying to out 3 you and out?
Yeah, Gary. They try to shoot more threes than you, Joe.
I don't know what Detroit's 3-point attempt percentage is, but I know Chicago's is third in the league, so that's an adjustment that they've made on the season.
Detroit is not high.
I don't know that, but now that we're double big and we're fully healthy, we're in a little bit of different defenses to where we're protecting the paint better, and we're doing that. And so I think that's just a little bit of the variance you saw in the Miami game tonight. Hero hit 7 straight threes in a row, and so. I think it's a little bit of the shooting has just gotten better around the league in general. I think more teams just have that, and the variance of that is going to get to you sometimes. Thank you.
All right, that is Coach Joe. We're gonna do a little shuffle here. I'm gonna go over here. Bobby's gonna go over here. Sherrod's gonna hit the right side. What's up, boys? All right, we just heard from
the deck,
Coach Joe. I want to get Bobby's thoughts off the top because he's going to leave us shortly, and I want to get. Bobby, if there's anything specifically off Joe you want to hit on, please do, and then we'll go into the game.
Yeah, that was a good mention of the 3-pointers there by Gary because we talked a lot at the start of the year. Obviously, they're giving up a ton at the rim. Rim protection a major issue for the defense without Porzingis. Now Porzingis back. As Joe mentioned, they're playing in some double big lineups more often over the last 3-4 games here. And I didn't have an eye on that, but you did see it in that Bulls game, and you saw it again tonight. They're starting to give up threes now. So be interesting to see how they weigh that for the rest of the year. The rim protection has gotten so much better with Porzingis back, but you even saw it down the stretch of this game. Porzingis just sitting back watching Cade pull up a baseline jumper over him, and they're selling out to protect the paint. But you end up giving a lot of pull-up jumpers away to the Pistons in this one. And they got most of them late, Sherrod. I feel like they defended the 3-point line well for most of this game. And then Detroit just started pouring it on. They hit 4 threes at the start of the fourth, and it went from a 20-point game to an 8 quickly there. So you can do it, right? If you can get them up, if you can play that 3-point game with the Celtics there, more power to you, but it's been difficult for teams to do that for the most part. I wonder now that Porzingis is back and they're focusing more on the rim, where the team's going to be able to get more jump shots off.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely thought that, Detroit started knocking down threes in flurries. There really wasn't a steady diet of them knocking down threes. Beasley particularly was effective. But, this is a little bit out of the norm for Detroit. I mean, they're basically a middle of the pack team in the NBA in terms of 3-point percentage. I think they're like
they shoot 36 a game.
Yeah, and
tonight they took 39.
Yeah, so I mean they're not. They didn't do anything exceptionally well from 3-point range. They pretty much did what they normally do. And the thing that I keep coming back to when I look at these two teams play is that they're scrappy. Detroit, they play with this toughness that we just don't see them play with damn near any other time of the year. That was kind of the running joke last season that if Detroit played as hard against the rest of the league as they do Boston, they probably would be like 40-45 win team. But this was a game where you're down a couple key players, and you just simply need to do what you're supposed to do to win and get out of the game healthy. And they did that, and give some guys, who are, maybe minutes are not huge, give them a little bit more run. And let Jalen do what Jalen does in these situations, which is run the team. And Jalen, I thought, did a great job. Look at the backcourt. Him and Derek White, they combined for 20 assists. I mean, that's impressive, particularly on a night when you're without your best scorer. They clearly decided that it wasn't necessarily one or both of them needing to carry the offensive load, but they could get theirs and then get others and feed others too.
That was obviously the story tonight, Jimmy. You rest Tatum. Brown's able to take over the reins, especially with the 16 points in the first, gets to the free throw line a ton. And he set a great tone for this game. And mentioned a couple of times, I think tonight's the second or third time he played a full first quarter. And that used to be his job. Tatum would take the seat early and Brown would lead their scoring early in games. So for him to seamlessly slide back into that role, I know you had some problems with the second half, Jimmy. But the first quarter was important, and they built a 19-point lead minutes into this game because of it.
Yeah, I thought. I mean, listen. I don't want to start talking about Brown. I don't want to talk about the second half. I want to talk about the first half. We're going to talk about Brown, and we'll get into a number of guys on this team. And it was a good question by Gary talking about the three. I do think opposing teams are going to have to obviously change their approach to the Celtics team, because it's pretty clear, at least this part of the season, they're not just going to stop shooting and they're not going to stop hitting shots, hitting 3-point shots. And a night like tonight's a good example, Bobby. Detroit shoots 60% from three, and the Celtics still hit as many threes as they did tonight. I think it was one off. So it's all about volume with the Celtics team. It has been for quite some time, and that's not going anywhere. So opposing teams do need to start stressing that 3-point shot. They need to be creative. They need to find ways to get them, and obviously hope to make them as well. No Tatum, no Holiday tonight. No problem for Boston. I say that, but you got to give Pistons a little credit. They fought hard. This Pistons team is not the team of last year. I want to jump back to the first quarter. We got vintage first quarter Jaylen Brown. The guy, it wasn't that long ago where this was old hat for Jaylen Brown to come out, drop 15 points in the first quarter, kind of go guns blazing, set the tone, and then I don't want to say fizzle off, but kind of fade in some respects, at least. Not that he can keep up that pace for 4 quarters. But you get a guy like Tatum would obviously get his fair share, and guys would step in, and it wouldn't just be the Jaylen Brown show. But for the first quarter and really the first half, we got aggressive Jaylen Brown, who played with a purpose tonight. He was, whether it was the dunk on Beef Stew, whether it was just driving to the hole and getting fouled in the and one Sherrod, he was aggressive. He wasn't just looking for 3-point shots. This was not a shot chucking night for Jaylen Brown. This was a night where, again, efficient, 10 of 21 from the field, 6 threes, 1 of 6, not great. But again, the focus of him tonight was not the 3-point shot. It was just being aggressive, attacking to the rim, and setting the tone early.
Yeah, I thought this was one of Jalen's better games in terms of just offensive decision making. Jalen is really good scorer, and he's shown himself to be an improving passer. But I thought this was one of those games where I thought he was exceptional at both of those parts of the game. His scoring, knowing when to take shots, where to take shots, who to attack, who to just not attack, and who to get else involved offensively. This was really, really good game for Jalen, and it comes, I think, as a little bit of a surprise if you're the Detroit Pistons, because the conventional wisdom tells you that if Jason Tatum isn't playing and Jaylen Brown is, Jalen is going to be looking way more to get his offense going and get his shot making going. And there was some of that, but it didn't feel as though it was excessive. This felt like a very typical offensive shot taking type of game, except I thought Jalen did a better job in terms of the decision making, and his passing was really, really good.
I thought his passing was, it's been a part of his game that we haven't really talked about much, and maybe for a reason. But tonight, it just felt like he knew that he needed to be the guy. There was no question about it. With Tatum out, and and another point guard in Drew Holiday. You can't forget Drew Holiday. I know it's been probably one of the slower starts of the season for Holiday, at least when you want to compare it to guys like White or Pritchard or obviously Tatum. Holiday's had a little bit of a slower start. Maybe some of that's due to just ramping up a bit and picking his spots. But, he's an all-NBA defender, and he's a huge part of this team. So you're missing 2 of your top 5 guys, and Jaylen Brown steps in admirably, sets the tone in that first half. And then you're getting guys come in, the role player guys. Horford ends up with 14 points. Right. Pritchard, we'll talk about Pritchard in a little bit, but he had a kind of an opposite type of game as Brown, I would say, where he got hot late. It didn't seem like he was going to have one of those nights. And then sure enough, he's flirting with another 20-point game by the end of it. And then you had, White doing his thing. And I know Scal got a kick out of it on the broadcast. He wants somebody to ask White about it, but give White credit, man. He's when he's always regarded as one of the best shot blocking guards in the NBA, that means he's going to be up there going face to face with some guys. And tonight he got
dunked on.
He got dunked on.
It was nasty.
That's because he's not scared about getting in the way. He's not
Right.
scared of those situations.
Right.
And he went and he blocked, and he ended up with another block or two on the other end later in that game. So it's not like he's scared of the moment, or he's embarrassed, or it's gonna prevent him to do any of that stuff. So I got to give him just as much credit. It's a good example tonight, and Bobby's not here, so we won't spend too much time on it because we will later. But Cornette, another guy stepping in, guys that when they know they need to be called on in short-handed situations. And the one guy I haven't even mentioned yet, Sherrod, who after Brown was the biggest factor in this game, and we're probably not even used to it yet because we haven't seen him a whole lot, is KP. Almost a double-double for KP, 26 and 9. And, hamming it up with the crowd in the fourth quarter there, feeling the flow, doing the bull dance. Exactly. I mean, who loves playing in Boston more than this guy? Honestly, I mean, his new life, completely new energy. And when he's in the game, and again, that coincides with Jaylen Brown too. What was the very first play of the game from those two? Cookies and cream, right? The alley-oop right off the bat. I'm sure it was right there in the Pistons whiteboard, watch out for this. And what's the first thing that happens off the tip? Is Brown to Porzingis to sort of kind of like, and it was kind of like, and we're off, and all of a sudden they're up 15, Yeah.
They Porzingis, look, whenever he decides to stop playing, would anyone be shocked if he called Boston his home for life? I don't think anyone would be shocked if this is his retirement home.
You wouldn't have to pay for dinner anywhere. That's for sure.
No, exactly. Now, the thing that I like about Porzingis is that he has shown little to no signs of any type of, concern about that foot at all. And I love to see that. The fatigue, I think he's still working his way into basketball shape because I do think there are times where he does look a little bit fatigued and winded out there, which is expected when you consider how long of a layoff. But he gives the Celtics the dimension that I think they are absolutely going to need to win another championship. I think the Celtics, to be candid with you, I think they got lucky last year in not needing him as much as I believe they're going to need him to win another title. I just can't see them lucking out and winning another title with Porzingis playing a couple games here and there in the postseason. I just don't think that's going to happen. They're going to need a relatively healthy Kristaps Porzingis in order to repeat. And to me, this was another one of those games where you can just see where not only his production is a problem for teams, but just his presence, I think, is a problem. I don't think Detroit was able to play as much bully ball as they would have liked to have played against Boston. And
Porzingis giving it back to beef stew a little bit.
Exactly. They had some resistance. Now Pritchard, this is not a good matchup for him, and we'll talk more about him later. But this is the team that I've seen multiple times seem to be problematic for him. I mean, this is the only team I can think of that has guards that can actually pick Payton's pocket at half court. And have done that. And that's
there's
just
not many.
No, there aren't that many. And so, you needed a guy like Porzingis to really, I think, assert himself and do the things that he's capable of doing at both ends of the floor. I just thought he was really good. And again, you're getting 26 and 29 minutes. So it's not like he has to expend a lot of time and energy to be productive. And that's what happens when you have a team that has so many guys that can help space the floor. I keep going back to something Doc Rivers said earlier this year, where when you play the Celtics, you really are playing a team of 5 3-point shooters. More times than not, you have to respect the range of every single player that they put on the floor because they all have the ability to shoot the ball well. Particularly when when you've got the Tatum, Brown, Drew Holiday, Porzingis, and Al Horford.
They're 8 deep of 3-point shooters.
Yeah. I mean, when they go with, think about it, when they go with their
they're
double
all healthy.
Right. Most teams, when they go double bigs, that usually one of the bigs can shoot. But then if you go Porzingis and Al as your double bigs, you got two guys who can shoot 40% for 3-point range. They're arguably their 2 best 3-point shooters. So,
and we're not even talking about arguably the 2 bench 3-point shooters in the league.
Right. And Hauser and
Pritchard.
Yeah. So exactly.
And we didn't even mention Tatum and Brown or Holiday. Right. So or White. Like
you start looking at the roster, and it's pretty clear why they shoot 53s a game. It's literally more times than not the best shot that they can take based upon their personnel.
exactly what I keep saying. If you stunk at 3-point shots, if you were a team that didn't have 3-point shooters and that was how you played the game, it would be a tough watch because you'd be watching a lot of long rebounds.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it's a lot of fun when your team has 8 3-point shooters on it. Of course you're gonna be shooting 3-pointers. If you had 8 7-footers, not named Porzingis or Horford, you'd be 75% of your shots would be in the paint. You'd be in the cylinder. You'd be dunking it or whatever, and you'd call that boring. Right. So unless you want to have, I don't know, I don't know what the perfect way to play is, but right now there's no arguing that the Celtics aren't playing the most effective way to win games. They proved it last year. Mm-hmm. They're not changing anything this year, and they're only doubling down on it. And if they can remain healthy, the guys that were doing it off the bench are going to have even bigger roles for them. Porzingis, if he can stay healthy, he's going to have an even bigger role. Pritchard, we already know where he's at. And Hauser, mentioned him a minute or two ago, he had maybe his best night of the season tonight.
Yeah.
On a night when Tatum's out and, White wasn't a vintage Derek White night by any stretch from the field. Right. Hauser comes in 7 of 12 from the field, 5 of 10 from 3. That's playoff Hauser. That's you know what I mean? Like that's the guy that we remember from last year that was just shooting lights out anytime, the quick shot. That's 3-point contest Hauser right there.
Yeah, he shoots that well. You're not going to lose too many games when he's shooting that well, that impactful, and just being active. I mean, the thing about Hauser that, I just don't think he's ever going to get enough credit for. He's not a lockdown defender, but he does enough to justify him being out there. He may
not a liability. That's all he has to be. Is just not a liability.
Exactly. You're not when he's out there. You're not looking over and say, man, we gotta get Jaden Springer. We gotta get Jordan Walsh. We gotta get somebody who can defend.
I don't think anyone's saying that.
No, you're not. You're not, because Sam is giving you enough at the defensive end of the floor to justify whatever shortcomings he has there. And his offense is on nights like this. It reminds you why he's one of the best, if not the best shooter on this roster.
Right. And it's funny because you kind of forget, right? I mean, there's just so much talent on this team, or on any given night, it's going to be somebody else, right? I mean, tonight it was Hauser who kind of showed a little bit. Horford dropped 14. You're getting it from players who you're not talking about, double figures or flirting with 20 points on most nights. But it just goes to show, where this team can get it from. I mean, on other nights, it's the big guys like Queta and Cornette. And again, Cornette tonight, another guy that we haven't mentioned yet, and we will. But active. I think active is a good word for Cornette. Under the basket. Yeah. The putbacks. Energy was he's running up and down with the young Pistons team. Even getting a little Cornetti with it. With the, I don't know what that celebration was, but this.
He had the nice block of a Cade Cunningham
eating the cereal.
Yeah,
he had a nice block.
Really good block.
And then he kind of little Bill Russell there blocked it, but controlled it.
Oh, don't go Greg Steensma on me. Don't go Greg Steensma.
He might be watching Bill Russell.
He might be the next Greg Steensma. How's that defensively?
I don't want to get Gelso all riled up, but he might be watching some Bill Russell film. The way he's blocking shots and grabbing the boards there.
Nick should be chiming in any second now.
That's Nick's music. He heard Russell. He heard Russell. But yeah, I just thought it was a good example of guys stepping up. I don't know if you could have picked Cornette on Prize Picks tonight, or if you could have picked Hauser on Prize Picks tonight. But there are a lot of Celtics players that probably, some of this I would say, hit their overs tonight. I don't know if Pritchard was on there, but we're gonna tell you guys a little bit about Prize Picks. If Jackson's there, he's gonna toss it up. There we go. Prize Picks. It's the best place to get real money action sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in award winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long with Prize Picks. It puts the members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my pick hits, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. They also offer Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this sports season. So sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. They also offer weekly promos that can lead to big payouts like yesterday, Sherrod, Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
Tuesday, Prize Picks discount select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. I'm actually in one right now, Sherrod. I'm in one right now. And I got Anthony Edwards more than 34.5 points, rebounds, and assists. I have Rudy Gobert more 23 points, rebounds, and assists. I'm going heavy on Minnesota. And then I've got, hold on, Chris Dunn, less than 8 points. Sorry, Chris
Yeah,
Dunn.
that's you're gonna you'll hit that.
Sorry, Chris Dunn, but yeah, $5. Payouts like 10x, or that one might be 5x. I think you might need to mix it up a little bit. But point is, it's a lot of fun. You know what it does? It keeps like toss on the game after our podcast ends. Toss on the TV. There's a game on. You can sort of follow along with Prize Picks. It's a lot of fun. So that is the Prize Picks spiel. And why don't we do one more while we have everybody? Let's do HelloFresh.
Hello.
Sherrod is a big HelloFresh guy.
Meatloaf.
The meatloaf. So go to HelloFresh.com/freegarden. You get one free breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life. We all know home cooked meals are so much better for you, but you don't always have time to pull it off. But with HelloFresh handling all the meal planning, shopping, and most of the prep, it's easier than ever to get dinner on the table quick and painless. You know what you're doing after work now, Sherrod? You're getting Christmas lights. You're getting the Christmas tree. You're getting gifts. You're going out for after work, drinks with the coworkers. You don't have time to make this big elaborate meal. You get home at like 7:00 if you're lucky. Open up the box, pull out the ingredients. Wham, bam, thank you, man. You've got a nice, healthy meal for the night. Don't get caught up in all the takeouts. Listen, we're all going to have some cheat nights, especially during the holidays. But let HelloFresh kind of balance you out, You can customize your meals with protein or veggie swaps. And don't forget to check out HelloFresh Market for more delicious add-on items to jazz up your weekly deliveries. I know that, again, that's how I'm using it right now. I'm balancing out my unhealthy nights with a nice, great meal from HelloFresh. All the ingredients ready for me to go, and everything's just it couldn't be easier for me.
That makes sense.
So, and the best part, I get a free breakfast out of it. So for free breakfast for life, go to HelloFresh.com/freegarden. One free breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life just by going to HelloFresh.com/freegarden. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. All right.
Facts,
my dog. Again, like summer's in the rear view, guys. It's winter now, busier days.
Yeah.
Busier days than in the summer, where you could just skip a meal. You just skip a meal in the summer, In the winter, we're hunkering down. We're hibernating. We're eating all the stuff. Fresh
hard hat
square.
season, Jimmy. This hard hat
season, man. Sweatshirt season. Anywho. Hoodies, baby. Speaking of, is that a Syracuse hoodie? Shout out Syracuse.
You know it is.
Shout out Syracuse.
You know it is. So
So we've hit on a few of the main guys here, Sherrod. Again, 18-4 this Celtics team. They're not going to be playing in the NBA Cup, so that's one less thing to guys have to think about and think about matchups and think about playing your guys longer than maybe they need to play and running up
the basketball gods. The basketball gods did the Celtics a solid. We're not going to let you get to the Cup, but we're going to bring Detroit back, and then we're going to send you to your home away from home, aka Washington D.C.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if this is what the losers
this is your
bracket
punishment.
looks like, hey, you know what? It ain't so bad being a loser once in a while.
This is your punishment for letting Atlanta get that putback basket with little to no time left on the clock. Your punishment is another game against the Detroit Pistons and a road game, which is really a home game in every sense of the word.
And a bunch of time off in between.
Yeah.
And watching like all your future opponents and rivals go at it like in games. And again, I get it. That's kind of the whole point. And but that's kind of my point. It's all off. Bobby's going to come on here later and try to pump up the cup and why it's so great and blah, blah, blah. But the bottom line to me is this. There's no point to it if your ultimate goal is to win the NBA Finals. There is no benefit to going all out or even going extra in the cup. I don't care enough about it. There's no the prize means nothing to me, and it shouldn't mean anything to any of the fans, and I don't think it does.
The benefit to the cup above anything and everything else is just pride. It's just players been able to say that, you know what, we're better than you. But to your point, Jimmy, though, you got to ask yourself, is pride worth a guy, potentially getting hurt?
For some teams, that pride matters a lot more than what the pride of winning an NBA title is. Like the Hawks, they don't probably have a chance of winning the NBA title.
There may be a parade on Peachtree if the Hawks win the NBA Cup. And people will be wondering, like, what the hell are they celebrating? Oh, this must be like their Christmas parade. Like, nah, they just won the NBA Cup. Like, oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. And Orlando Magic, if they win.
The mighty have fallen.
Exactly. And I get it for those organizations. It's a big deal.
Sure.
It really is. But for the Celtics, I think you got to keep it 100 and just call it what it is.
I mean, the Lakers won the cup last year. Does anyone give
how'd that work?
Yeah,
how'd that work out?
Does anyone give an F?
No,
exactly.
No. If you win the cup, is great. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Celtics, they definitely wanted to be there, and they definitely wanted to win the cup. But if the alternative is, as you pointed out, more time off, home game against Detroit, who you just beat, without your leading scorer and without your best perimeter defender against a team that has a number of guys who can score on the perimeter, and then you got a road game at Washington. I was concerned that they would give them something like a game against like Chicago, a team that might actually give you a fight, or have them play Cleveland or something like that.
Right.
Make it.
I mean, this Celtics team they'll play anybody, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to be the favorite in most nights,
right?
As long as you're healthy, but a little bit of extra rest around the holidays, a couple of borderline cupcake games, I'll say. Not going to call Detroit cupcakes. They play hard and they might actually steal it. Who knows? Yeah. But the rest is the big thing, and not having I don't know. I don't want to call it a distraction, but it's just I give the NBA credit for trying to make the regular season interesting, but there's got to – I think at some point they'll land somewhere where it will have some sort of playoff implications in some capacity. They'll figure out a way to make it tie into the playoffs in some way.
You could make this thing a little more spicy. To me, the way that you can make it more spicy is that you have whoever wins the cup guaranteed a playoff spot. And then you shorten up that whole play-in format thing a little bit, and you just basically give one of these spots, whoever wins the cup, to a team. So the Atlanta Hawks.
There's something there, and we're not going to be able to figure it out tonight. But there's definitely something somewhere.
To me, I would make it so that the team that wins the cup will be seeded no lower than 6 in the playoffs. So you can still do your play-in format.
Then it benefits, like, what if it's some obscure freaking team, and then it benefits all the other. I don't know. Like,
so look, Jimmy, that gives you more incentive to win and get to Vegas. Because if you're the Celtics, you don't care. You don't give a damn about nothing like that. But if you're the Atlanta Hawks, that might be the only way you're going to get to the damn playoffs. If you're the Washington Wizards, that might be. And for a team like the Wizards,
but then all of a sudden now it's almost like, is it worth too much? Because if you're one of the teams that's already going in the playoffs, now you feel obligated to what? Like, maintain the integrity of the playoffs by making sure all the shitty teams get knocked out where they're supposed to, or else some garbage team sneaks in because it's game 18 and the opposing teams are resting a guy or two because it doesn't mean that's what I can't figure out. But they got to figure something out.
To me,
oh, here we go.
Sometimes we can get in the habit of just shooting 3 after 3 after 3 after 3. And some nights we're not making it, some nights we are. And those are great shots for our team, especially if they're wide open. and good looks. But I also think, me 2 feet in the paint, at the rim is a great shot for our team as well. So if I feel great about this, if I'm in the paint, even if that guy is a little bit open, in the past, I've been really good at the rim. This season I'll improve. But I do try to balance because I think sometimes we get in the habit of just shooting 3 after 3 after 3 after 3. Sometimes getting to the paint, getting an easy 2 that gets our team going.
Talking
And then
to
those
the
3 start.
man in the mirror.
Jalen, on that note, just the kind of playmaking improvements that you've made, we see you a lot at shoot around at practice, working with the assistant coaches on just making.
Noah,
What does it actually look like in practice to go and improve, over the course of your career as a playmaker? Like, what are the kinds of things you're doing in practice, during the summer to actually get into a position where you're now having 9 assists and it's not that unusual?
Yeah, I just think one, experience, is the best teacher, and then just maturation of the game. Early in my career, a lot of the things that people could say, I've been able to improve and I feel like if I got put in that position that I could show that, it's just different. I'm 28.
Damn.
Coming off of
Old.
a great season last year.
old ass.
I pride myself being able to make those plays over and over. But
Didn't make the Olympics, but I'm good though.
Whatever our team needs, I think that's the most important thing defensively. You want me to pick a guy up full court, guard the best player. If you want me to, play off ball, play on ball, be a cutter, guard a big, just having that versatility, I think just adds to our team and our value. So I pride myself on that as well. But if you put me in that position, I think you'll be able to see that there's definitely been growth.
I am him. Go ahead, say it. I am him.
Jalen, dunk on Stewart. Usually doing the seatbelt thing now, but you did the throat slash. Can you talk about that?
Damn, Gary.
Gary.
Caught up in the moment, I guess.
Damn it, Gary. You're going to get.
You're going to get him fined.
Damn it, Gary.
The NBA and the PA
Gary
are,
Adam
about
Silver's
the
like
gesture
throat
and things like
slash?
that. So, got to be mindful of that.
You expecting to
Jalen.
hear from them, league, maybe on that?
Oh, yeah.
Now he will.
And,
That's what Jalen
and
should have said.
Stewart,
Now I will.
Yeah.
Later
Gary,
on,
you're going to write that check?
into like the third row with a push on a rebound. How do you kind of keep your emotions in check? Because obviously that probably was about the dunk.
Yeah, or not. I feel like he's always doing stuff like that. I think that plays the game. But
stop coming after my guy Gary.
Coming out, running the offense, getting our team into the right positions. So I didn't want to get distracted, but definitely some going back and forth, and we not tolerating that this year from nobody.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Jalen, cookies and cream back in full effect tonight. Why do you guys work so well in that team?
Okay, Abby.
I love Abby. I love Abby.
I'm always looking for him. I feel like he's always looking for me, and I think that just adds to it. Anytime he's on the floor, especially when KP is being great defensively at the rim, like I gotta get him a shot. I gotta make sure that because that's what when he's like that, that takes our team to another level. So like you protecting the rim like that, man, you can shoot as many threes as you motherfucking want. So
oh boy,
always trying to take care of the big.
We
He's
can
working
hear you,
down
Bobby.
here, so get him some shots, get him feeling good because it helps our team.
Can't hear.
Jalen, obviously the big dunk on Stewart or KP, going over the crowd and pumping them up. Felt like there were a lot of big moments in this game, like crowd pop moments. How much did those individual plays, those big moments where the crowd erupts, sort of push you guys forward, and how much do you thrive off those?
I thought it was good. I like the way we played tonight. I like the pace in which we played tonight. I thought we played with a more of a step. I don't like when we play slow, and regardless of what whoever says, I'd rather play fast. We got a lot of talent. We got a lot of shooters. Just that makes us harder to guard than when we just play slow and try to look for these matchups and et cetera. Let's get up the court. So I'm a big emphasis to that. I'm gonna stand on that. But I liked how we played tonight. But the versatility of our team now, we can win in different ways. Like the game slows down, it slows down. But even if the game picks up, we could play well as well. We just got to take care of the basketball. That's it.
Jalen, in the back, JB Bickerstaff, their coach, kind of mentioned that.
Is that Julian
falling
Bimba?
behind
Yes, that's Julian.
Is that JB?
difficult to climb
Where's
out of
he
that kind of a
been?
hole. Guys, I mean, they shot 50%
Well,
from the
you
floor,
know,
53.
Jimmy, I've
and
been around, and
you
I
guys get a
just
sense, especially when you come out and pile
in
up
places
the way you're
and,
doing quarter,
yeah,
that you're putting
I
teams in
love
like a
JB.
tough, gotta
My
be
man.
perfect 3 quarters to even give themselves a chance.
Yeah, credit to Detroit. They played well. They shot the ball well. They hit some big timely shots. But I think we did ourselves some favor by getting into that front lead that we had early in the first half. But Detroit, I thought they played well. That was one of their better games. So credit to them.
Thanks, JB. Hey, cookies and cream in full
we
effect,
back.
y'all. Cookies and cream in full effect.
Yeah. Dude, that's like us right now, Sherrod. We're like cookies and cream.
Oh,
Look at us.
man. Plus or minus $450, $460 million. But
Give or take.
Give or take.
But we got
What's
Bobby
up,
back.
Bobby?
Bobby Manning
What's
is
going
back
on?
with us. He slipped away for a minute. Bobby, what have you learned in the locker room since you first departed?
Yeah, we talked to Sam Hauser, who I think was a good third story in this game, underlying story, but
One of
one
his
of the
best
bigger
games of the
performers
year.
in this game for sure. Yeah, I'd say his best game of the year, at least shooting-wise. And
Yeah.
we talked about it last game, right? He's hovering around 34, 35, trying to work his way back up. I'm sure tonight boosted him into the high 30s. So early, we're still, as he said, working his way
Bobby, we're going to
back
cut
from
you off.
injury.
Bobby, we got to cut you off. We're going to go.
Unicorn is back.
Crowd
Sorry.
sitting on the
We'll get-
baseline, they're always super engaged, so you got to enjoy those moments, and it's just honestly, it's just happening naturally.
KP, I sort of asked JB the same thing, but those big moments, like you going over to the crowd or seeing Jalen's big dunk, how much do those fuel you in the game? Like watching a teammate make a big play, you making a big play and hyping up the crowd, like do those push you forward? Like how much does that, impact your game on the court?
Of course, especially for us, I think it's a big home court advantage. Our fans, like even we had a tough moment, like in the fourth, I think they kept on hitting threes, and like we couldn't get anything good going. And then it was it was a moment when the crowd just started like getting itself kind of to ignite us, right? And those are like the special moments. Those are like the synergy moments between the fans and the players, and for us, I think it's compared to other teams, I think it's a huge advantage here.
Speaking of celebrations, what do you think of Luke's? I mean, he's
I didn't see.
do you see the stirred up
Oh,
tonight?
he did the stir up again there. Oof, he got like
The finger wag the other night.
Oh yeah, the Mutombo. Luke's a character, and I'm sure we're gonna see some more.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Good
Bobby.
interaction.
You know it, Bobby.
And then I know I asked JB, but
Put it
what
away,
is it
Bobby.
about the way that he sees the game that works so well with the way
The
you
microphone.
Libby?
The microphone.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he's just he tries to. He does a good job of trying to read the team, right? Who needs to get a touch? Who hasn't? Who we need to get going. And he's good at that, and if he needs to, take more responsibility and attack more and create more, he does that for us. And we already know what he gives us defensively. His physicality, when he's engaged like this, he's one of the best players in the league, in my opinion. But yeah, what we love about him is he's going to make the right play, and he's going to give the team what the team needs in that moment.
Kristaps, when you guys, at this stretch of the season, there's a couple guys rest here and there. There's different lineups, different combinations. Just feels like this team is full of guys who know what their roles are, but then when you take a couple guys out, they can expand their roles. Jalen did it, but Peyton, Sam, what does it say about this team? Not just their basketball ability to do it, but their mental ability to kind of say, tonight I need to be in this box, but now in this next game I need to be this, and they can do it.
I think the cool thing about our team is that even if on certain nights, let's say, I don't know, Peyton or Sam, they have a smaller role because we have everybody playing, they still play like they play, they still play the same way. It's just some nights they're going to have those shots. Some nights maybe they won't have those shots. And it varies, right? The minutes might go up and down, but everybody's so professional. Everybody's so locked in and so ready for the moment that, as you said, like when people are in and out, it doesn't really matter because, people are ready and hungry to get that extra minutes, shots, whatever it is. So, and that just speaks about the character of the guys that maybe are not getting the minutes they would get on a weaker team, and that's why we're so good.
And end of third quarter, should Jalen have taken that heave?
Say that again.
End of the third quarter, do you think Jalen should have taken that heave?
100%. You saw me. No, I was like, come on.
It seemed like you guys were like,
no,
did you guys give him
he
some?
gave me some BS excuse. Oh, I didn't catch it properly, mate. No, he didn't want to shoot it. Next time he got to shoot it 100%.
Kristaps, with the amount of weapons that you guys have, just thinking back to other points in your career when there was more pressure on you to be the guy and to score a lot more, just how has that contributed to making your time here in Boston a little bit more enjoyable playing here?
Sorry, I didn't catch the first part.
Just with the amount of weapons that you guys have, not having as much pressure on you to score and stuff, like how does that make the experience playing here better?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. As a player, you always want, I don't know, more shots, more minutes, more role, more, I think everybody feels like that all the time. It's just a matter of us, like, controlling our own, like, egos and stuff and playing as a team. I don't know if it's, like, something I enjoy. I'd rather shoot 40 shots, you know what I mean? But, no, it's of course, it's a privilege that we have such talented team. We have, I don't know how many guys that can score 20 and it will not be like a surprise. It will be like, like this guy can get a 20 easy. So it's a big privilege we have, and it's that's why this team is who we are, is who he is, something like that. Right?
Is what it is.
Jalen tied his season high with 9 assists tonight. From playing against him over the years to being his teammate the last 2, how have you seen him evolve and grow as a facilitator and a playmaker?
Yeah, I think he did a great job tonight. He was exerting a lot of energy just to get downhill, and of course they're trying to be physical with him and this, but he's like physicality. His motor is like he's an animal. I'm not gonna lie, and he's guarding and he's like getting downhill. And looking to kick out, and all of his kickouts are like, it might not even be an assist for him, but it's it's like a hockey pass. He kicks out, it's the next guy, corner, boom, corner 3, this. So I think sometimes it even goes unnoticed, but he's really, he's JB. He's like, we almost expect this from him, but he's really, really good. Oh, thank you.
Cookies and cream.
All right. And
Good to
that
have him
is
back.
We've had our
Chris
cookies and
Stapps
cream portion of the program.
for Zingas. We lost Bobby's beautiful face. There he is.
You got me?
We got
kind
you.
of. We gotta. Oh yeah, we're going big. We're going big on Bobby. Is that what we're doing? All right, Bobby. You were talking to us about Hauser. So why don't you? And I didn't mean to cut you off, but we did have to.
No,
hear
yeah,
from
it relates to what Kristaps was talking about there anyway. The movement tonight, inside-out activity, good layers of passing. I mean, JB Bickerstaff before the game praised the Celtics for being able to do that, being that's how they create their threes. And I thought the movement for a lot of this game, in spite of some turnovers, this was another bad turnover game for the offense, but you created some awesome quality shots whenever you needed to in this game. And it's a 130, 120 game, Jimmy. You needed all those hazard threes. You needed all those good possessions from Kristaps. And what I liked about Kristaps in this game, they attacked him with defenders. They brought pressure. They brought help against him. And he made quick decisions to get the ball out. I thought he found Horford for a bunch of good looks. It was a good Horford shooting game, and he was able to move the ball through the perimeter. And of course, they found Hauser and Pritchard, who got going late. So the offense, on a night where the defense didn't have it, picked them up big time. And I thought their execution on that end, again, in spite of the turnovers, was pretty excellent. It came from a bunch of different guys, obviously, because you didn't have Tatum. And You know, again, they've struggled with Tatum off the floor this year, Jimmy. So to have a 130-point performance in a game when you built and maintain the leads like they did, it's pretty impressive.
And just kind of piggybacking off what you're saying, Bobby, I love the fact that since Porzingis has been back, they're playing teams that are consciously going at him at both ends of the floor. You go back and look at the Cleveland game, and they went at him hard in that game. You look at this game, they clearly attacked him both in terms of what they're looking to do defensively and made him work a little bit on offense, you know, when they're on offense. And so that, to me, is the beauty of what he's been able to do. He hasn't really missed a beat at either end of the floor. He's just working his way back into basketball shape. But as far as the skills, as far as the impact, as far as just the mobility and just the impact, that hasn't changed. And that to me has been a bit of a surprise when you consider how long he was off. You consider how this team was playing in his absence. And for him to just basically, it's been like plug and play since he's come back. And I think if you're looking at the Celtics and they're on your schedule, you know how this stuff works. Guys typically get better the deeper they get further removed from an injury. They're all of a sudden – those 20-point games become 25, 30-point games because they're playing more minutes. And then in those, you know, maybe 1 or 2 blocks, then you're going to have games where he'll get 4 or 5 blocks because his timing will get better. And that, to me, is the scary part about the Celtics team, is that the cheat code that we have been saying has been a cheat code is actually starting to be put in play. And it's only going to get stronger as the season gets longer.
Indeed. Bobby, anyone else you speak to besides Hauser?
No, just Hauser. And again, the climb back from that injury is so important for this team. It's nice that they've gotten the enormous Pritchard nights that they have, that Peterson's been able to step in and give them some stuff. But the bench scoring's mostly been Pritchard to begin this year, in part because of Hauser's injury, the offensive limitations of some of the other centers deeper on the roster. So on tonight, you move Horford to the starting lineup, you move Hauser to the starting lineup. Good to get the offensive nights that you did from those guys stepping in, and they're going to need Hauser. It's nice you're getting the Peterson stuff, and maybe Shireman can fill in at some point, but Hauser's the guy, as we talked about, who gave you the droves of threes in the finals, plus the defense, plus the little plays in between, rebounding improvement, and certainly the growth as a defender has been big time for him. So looking like himself a little bit more with each passing game. He obviously missed the last one for personal reasons, bounced right back, and just had a stellar game here. And it's not just the shooting. He brings that defensive presence on the wing. You don't miss a beat there. And then, you know, maybe layering in a few playmaking situations a couple of games too. So he just continues to add to his game and looks a little more comfortable with each game. I know Noah mentioned it last game. Does he have the back thing on still or not? I did see him wearing that during the game when he was on the bench. So this is clearly something, despite him not wanting to talk about it, that he's going to have to manage throughout this year. And they took him for granted almost a year ago, and even the year before that, where he's that 40% shooter, 42% shooter a year ago from three, and you can just rely on him to get a ton up and hit a ton. That hasn't been the case to start this year, and it's been an underrated story, the fact that they've missed his bench productivity a little bit. This is where you become scary as an offense, having had that in rotation and tonight in the starting lineup.
Yeah, I mean, does it have anything to do with him being in the starting lineup, or is it just simply getting more burn, getting some more looks,
Definitely
getting more shots?
Yeah, I think when you have Porzingis and they're rotating inside on him, they were able to get some kickouts and secondary assists, as Porzingis mentioned there, through Brown. And Brown, obviously a guy who's attacking downhill consistently. I thought their transition game was pretty solid in this one too. So you produce threes in a bunch of different ways through that. And you know, the one thing I like too, Sherrod, when Hauser gets it is, you know, closeouts come, he can do that sidestep three now too. Like that's something he's added to his game. So just elite, as elite as it gets. And when you're a team that's trying to get up as many threes as possible, Hauser's a guy who you want shooting many of them. So this was, you know, it wasn't the story of the game, but getting him going is an important thing to watch going forward. Does he turn this into a hot 5-10 games to come? That's something that could get the Celtics going on an extended win streak here.
He is the type of guy that could definitely just get hot. I mean, it's just a rhythm. I mean, we've seen it, you know, since the three-point shot has been invented. I mean, remember Ray Allen, Sherrod? He'd go into cold streaks, and all of a all of a sudden he can't miss. And Ray was on the broadcast a couple games ago talking about how he wished he played in this era, and we might be talking about Ray on even better as an even better player than we know him to be in this era, based on the volume alone that he would be taking shots at. But that's kind of getting off topic. But Hauser has that opportunity on this Boston roster, and it goes back to Porzingis. Not to keep harping on it, but you said it, Bobby. I mean, just simply having Porzingis out there for that little inside-outside game. You know, he's getting his shots now on the kick out, not always looking for it, you know, from the left or to the right, but maybe from right in front of you.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing about the Celtics team. They produce threes in a bunch of different ways. You had Pritchard pulling up in the fourth quarter. You have it on the move. You have it in the half court, even off offensive rebounds. And they had some timely offensive rebounds in this game, too. That's another thing Hauser's starting to do better is, you know, come in from the corners and tip some balls out to teammates and just be disruptive in that area as well. So he's another guy who brings size, too, right, on the perimeter, and you can play bigger lineups. And Hauser at that point becomes, you know, a big player at his position at 6'8", or, you know, however tall he is. So everything you mentioned there, like, you have some guys deeper on the roster who can do some things similar to a Hauser, right? We've, you know, done our couple Peterson shows at this point, but the shooting he brings to be able to hit, he hit 6 threes in this game? Like, no one else on the roster can do that game after game after game if he's given those opportunities and those many shots, and he's so comfortable putting up those many shots. So again, that was a big deal from this game, and he seems to be in a much better place than he was at the start of the year, where he just didn't look like himself.
Yeah, and you have to wonder how much of that had to do with just his back or versus just, you know, just one of those things.
Sure, and that's a concern. You know, you don't like, that's something that lingers, and it has.
Yeah, and I think that's in part why you see a guy like Peterson still around. They definitely know that there's a potential that Hauser may not be able to go at some point, and you need to have something that you can turn to. But Hauser is going to stay in that rotation just as long as he is just doing the things that has kept him in the league and adding things to his game. You touched on this earlier, Bobby. I love the fact that Hauser is not being like the Duncan Robinsons of the world, where basically all you do is shoot threes and you don't really expand your game beyond that. Hauser now has that side step three that you talked about. He also has the two dribble pull up mid range shot that he's already starting to take a little bit more of now. And defensively, he's not killing you out there. You're not finding yourself looking down the bench, 2 minutes after he gets in the game, thinking, who can I sub for defensive purposes for him? And so you look at his game as becoming more well-rounded, and that's a great thing if you're the Boston Celtics, because you've got enough superstars. Do you have super role players? And Hauser he's emerging as one of those guys that's just really, really good in the role that he's being cast to play for this team.
And we do have Noah standing alongside Jimmy, but I did talk to Hauser this morning as well, and I'm going to bring it up before I get out of here.
Are you not coming back?
They were disappointed. Yes. He said they were disappointed. They didn't make the cup. He said they talked about it before the season. They made it a goal. They wanted to win the cup going into this year.
And you believe him, huh?
And they couldn't do it. They couldn't even get in.
And Bobby, you missed it, but we were all crying about it on the show before you came back in between. We were talking about how broken up we were. The chat was all bent out of shape, and we just can't believe that they just failed so miserably. The season's basically over. I mean, why even try to win an NBA championship?
What is there left to play for?
Yeah.
There's nothing left to play for.
I mean, if you don't win the cup, then yeah, that's kind of step one.
If you don't win the cup, then what the are you playing for?
That's it. Bobby, are you coming back or are you coming back or not?
Fourth time against Detroit and Washington. Well, we can have this conversation, and then I'll have Noah talk. I think she's over here, but
yeah.
This.
But I got to do an ad.
This is something I want to see them a part of. Yeah, go ahead. We can get to it after the read.
All right. You get out of here. We'll get Noah on. We got to talk Luke before you go for the night, too, because he's worth talking about at some point.
Yeah, I'll stick around for a few.
Well, he'll stick around for a few.
Oh, now he's sticking around. Now, see how easy it was? He had one foot out the door, and he just stepped on right back in.
Say the L word. That's all you got to do.
We're going to talk about game time for a minute, though, and Bobby's going to gather himself after I just said the word Luke. But you guys know the deal with game time. I mean, really, is there a better app to get the sports and events that you want to get into? I say no, and I am not biased at all. Game Time is legit. I own it as an app, and I have used it, and I can confirm that it is the place to go. Whether it's NFL, Sherrod, whether it's college football, they're going to be announcing a bunch of unbelievable bowl games soon, and that's when you hit Game Time and you just slam. You got an alma mater. Sherrod's already looking up Game Time to see where he can go to watch Syracuse play. That would be a pretty boring game, but there's a lot of other matchups out there that keep your eyes on the Game Time app. If you download the app, create an account, use the code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. There's a thing called Game Time Picks as well. So let's say you do have an alma mater that you want to go to their game. Let's say you went to BC. Actually, no, we won't. We'll use a real college football team.
Oh,
let's
wow.
Say you went to
fired.
Say you went to Georgia, right? And you want to go to, but you don't live there anymore. And but you want to get back once a year, twice a year, get to the games. Do Game Time Picks. Its curation makes it easier to save more on your
Come on,
team,
Jimmy.
on your exact team.
Syracuse.
Bobby, get out of here. Syracuse has nothing to do with it. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. They also do concerts. We got a big concert coming up in Boston next week. Jingle Ball. Sherrod's favorite. Megan Trainor's going to be there, Sherrod. I know you're a Megan.
MT.
Yeah. Benson Boone, I think, is going to be there.
BDB.
B2B. That's right. That's what people call them. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use the code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. All right, stick with me. I'm going to do one more ad. I know we got Bobby and Noah here, but if I wait to do it, then I'm going to cut you guys off at your main point. So, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about Bilt, and it is the beginning of the month. It's the 4th. Rent was due. Hopefully, you didn't miss your rent payment, and hopefully, you use Bilt. As you can see, the average person spends a ton of money on rent. Why not use Bilt in order to make it worth it, make it worth your time. For anyone who rents, if you haven't heard of Bilt, you're about to thank me. Earning points on rent is now a reality. When you pay your rent through Bilt, you don't even have to check with your landlord to start earning points that you can use towards flights, hotel stays, fitness classes, and even your next rent payment. That's right. You don't even have to tell your landlord, because guess what? He doesn't care about you and you don't care about him. It's strictly business. You know what? You're in the business for yourself. So leave the landlord out of it. There's no cost to join Bilt. And as a member, you'll earn valuable points on rent and on your everyday spending. Bilt points can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines, and even the ones you haven't heard of. There are over 500 airlines and 700,000 hotels and properties around the world you can redeem your Bilt points towards. Points can also be redeemed towards a future rent payment and unique experiences that only Bilt members can access. Start earning points on rent you're already paying by going to joinbilt.com/garden. That's joinbilt.com/garden. Make sure to use our URL so they know we sent you. That's joinbilt.com/garden to start earning points on your rent payment today. Guys, it's like the holidays. You're going to be stuck with like all this family and friends and all this stuff. You're going to want to go on a trip after the holidays. The holidays are a lot of stress. You're going to want to go away. Start collecting points on Bilt. Redeem those points towards your trip and thank me later, or just invite me on the trip. I'll take that as well. Okay. We're back. The whole team's here. Bobby Manning, Noa Dalzell, back from the locker room. We got a couple of Bobby's takes from being, talking to Hauser. Noah, who'd you get a chance to speak to or be a part of the conversation? What stood out to you in this one from your conversations?
Yeah, good to see you guys. I think what stood out about this game is just that, Detroit actually played pretty well, I thought, for the most part. Obviously, they weren't perfect, but they did all they could, and the Celtics have just been able to withstand most of these teams' good efforts. Jaylen Brown obviously had a big game, as you guys saw. He was at the podium. I think his playmaking or, his intention to play make tonight was the big story. And I'm still trying to. The reason I stayed for the pressers. I'm trying to understand better, like what exactly behind the scenes his work on improving as a playmaker has looked like, and we haven't really gotten like specifics, and maybe that's just going to be the way that it is. But you could just tell that when he was empowered and he was, the number one guy today, and really benefited from that first quarter. I thought 16 points in that first. It was kind of reminding me like how much of an adjustment it's been that he's not playing entire first quarters anymore.
Yeah.
And watching that first quarter, I was thinking to myself, like, that is kind of a big sacrifice that he's making this year. I mean, it wasn't his choice, I don't think, but he had a huge game tonight. Even though he wasn't as efficient in the second half, he just did so many things on the defensive end, getting them off to that hot start, just maintaining things down the stretch. And then I'm not even going to do the Pritchard thing, but just another casual 19 points, just casual. I feel like it's not even a big night for him anymore. It's just, we're seeing this night in and night out, and it's a level of consistency where it wasn't even like he was super hot tonight. It's just, this is just Peyton Pritchard now. So
well, he has the room to work his way out of it. They put him in there for the late minutes, and yeah, it's something. I think John was so right about that, Jimmy, early in the last show, talking about how this is a bigger story than we've been making it out to be. The fact that he seemingly needs to be part of these closing lineups, and we talked to Hauser this morning, and he obviously said he saw this Pritchard start coming, and he was working out with him throughout the summer. But there also seems to be an urgency to get him more looks, get him more time on the ball, to take the pressure off Brown, take the pressure off Tatum. And on a night like tonight, where there's no Holiday again, no Tatum, you need what he brings to the late lineup. So maybe it is that six-man role where someone's down, Pritchard's taking on the ball handling, Pritchard's taking on that shot total, and then when everyone's healthy, he takes a little bit of a back seat. But he can move in and out of those roles, and that's what's made him so effective this year.
And you think you learned a lesson tonight, Bobby. I don't want to pull up the group text, but your text
I thought
did
the
not.
Pee party was over.
What? He thought the pee party was
through
over.
3/4.
What? I want to know the exact thing. That's what you said?
That's what I said. I said, end of the third quarter, the pee party looks like it's over, and then fourth
Well, he
quarter
said at
explosion.
least. He said at least for one night. He didn't say it
At
was
least
over
for
for
one
good.
Okay, that's different.
Yeah, no, I didn't say for the
I
season.
thought you were like,
yeah.
the whole thing's done.
No.
Yeah,
He had a
trade
couple
him.
bad quarters.
Get him out of here. No, but then the fourth quarter rolls around, and Pritchard's been doing it in the fourth quarter, and especially on a night where
That offensive rebound was a big play.
4 offensive rebounds tonight.
Yeah.
It's really wild when you think about it. And I went back because I was like filming from my seat some of those. It's not ones that he was in good position to get them either.
The fourth
like
quarter one was a
yeah,
tough
I mean,
one.
people are aware of the fact that he's crashing the glass, and they're trying to prevent him from doing it. It's not people falling asleep at the wheel and he's just sneaking in there. It just doesn't matter. I think that he's a lot stronger too than people maybe give him credit for. And that's part of it. Part of it is the timing, the speed. He is kind of a ball magnet, but yeah, I think that's one of the things I've noticed whenever Joe now gets asked about Peyton Pritchard, he immediately points out the offensive rebounding like within the first couple of words of his answer, because I think he wants to highlight that that's really one of the most important developments with him, is not just the shooting, but that actually has been like a marquee winning play for him. And it's Drew Holiday's winning play too. So thinking about, what are the big plays that Drew Holiday's made during his career and during his time here in Boston, Pritchard's kind of doing similar plays, not beyond just the shooting, obviously.
Yeah, the offensive rebounding, that's been that one sneaky stat that Peyton has consistently been able to provide pretty much ever since he's been here. And you're right, Noah. The big thing with Peyton, I notice, is that he's just a smart basketball player. I mean, when you start looking at the offensive rebounds he gets, you can see the wheels turning, seconds before that ball hits the rim, where he's already marked the path that he's going to take. And more times than not, it's a path with very little resistance that he's able to get his hands on the ball and either corral the rebound or keep it or create a loose ball. And that's just there's not a lot of coaching that you're doing when that happens, particularly when it's a player who's doing it as consistently as he has done. Because otherwise, coaches would coach all the players to do that, and that just doesn't happen. So Peyton, he's giving the game what it needs, and I'm glad that he's making me and Bobby look really smart when we call it 6th Man of the Year. Before
not easy.
Anyone was thinking about that.
Yeah, no one was thinking that.
I think Noah was thinking about it.
I wasn't thinking.
Yeah,
it
Joe
was
She was
gonna happen
thinking
this
All
season.
Star. She was thinking All Star.
True, that's
I was thinking bigger. I was thinking bigger things than Sixth Man of the Year.
Joe Sway was out in Oklahoma City saying, "I think Pritchard's gonna do it this year."
Yeah, we bullied him off the
He had-
take. Infamously,
John's
John
fault.
bullied him off the take and ultimately off the show. Unfortunately, that's how bad it was. No, it's not true. Joe Sway's doing his thing. We hope to get Joe Sway on one of these shows sometime soon. Actually, check in. We'll do a
Absolutely. I'm
check
sure
in with Joe
Christmas
Sway.
time.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna be at the Christmas party, Jimmy.
I hope so.
So I heard.
That means it's gonna get wild. I guess it's gonna get wild. I don't even know where the Christmas party. Am I invited? Because I don't know anything.
I was going to
about
say,
the
Jimmy,
damn
I don't know
party.
if you've been invited, Jimmy.
Yeah,
I don't know if you're invited.
I'm just gonna show up anyways. So
Before I go, Jimmy, because I want to
talk about
I'm gonna
Luke. Let's
punt-
go.
we do
no,
have
no,
to
no,
talk
I'm
about
gonna-
Luke.
I'm gonna punt the Luke conversation to Noah because I did my soliloquy the other day. I don't have too much more to add on that, but I
Good.
do want to get my word in on the cup. Does
All right.
anyone else care?
Bobby has the floor on the cup. This is where we lose. Okay, we have 1,500 viewers. Let's see if we have more than 100 by the time the cup talk is over. Go.
Does anyone in the chat, does anyone on this panel care that they didn't make the cup? Because the more and more I think about it, the more and more I watched last night, I wanted them in it. We were about to get Knicks Celtics Wednesday night, MSG, marquee matchup, playoff preview. They don't play the Knicks until like February. So we were about to get that. Speaking of Joe Sway, we might have got a Celtics Thunder finals preview thing in the Cup championship if they made it that far. And then an extra Bucks game, an extra Magic game. And this isn't about me going to Vegas, Jimmy. This is about good basketball.
Okay.
Oh, right.
Good matchups.
Side
Has
note.
nothing to do with it at all.
Yeah.
And guess what?
Side note.
It was an okay game tonight. I don't think anyone was calling this one of the games of the year, and now we have to watch it again next Thursday.
And followed by
then
the road game against Washington.
we have to schlep down, and I love Washington, D.C. I'll be looking forward to it if
It's
we
like
go.
another
but
home game.
Yeah, it's
Celtics,
like it's the
Wizards?
TD Garden South.
Again? I mean, we got to do it again. Jimmy's going to take that show off. Sherrod's not going to. Celtics,
won't sniff
Wizards,
that
third
one, yeah.
time in a month.
Okay,
Instead
but
of a cup championship game.
That's an
against the Thunder.
NBA. That's the NBA's problem for that being the alternative. Again, and I talked about it briefly with Sherrod. The idea, it's not a horrible idea to have some sort of in-season, meaningful tournament that makes regular season games more fun. But the problem is there's not enough at stake. There's not enough prize at the end that makes anybody give an F if and when their team is eliminated. It's good for bad teams or mediocre teams. But if you're a team that has if you're a title contender, you really don't give an F. The Celtics are not going to lose a wink of sleep tonight, Bobby. I hate to break it to you. They're probably pumped. He lied to you. They have way more days. You got a bunch of days off. They're playing 2 weak teams. And again, I'm not to discount like the Pistons team that could win that game. I'm not saying they won't.
They're not Orlando or New York or the kind of teams that
the fans lose out. Yeah, and the fans lose out because we get 2 games that nobody really cares about. So the fans, half the NBA loses out in this tournament or more. And the other half is just playing a meaningless game or a game that doesn't matter much. The Lakers won last year. Does anybody give an F? Did it matter then?
It almost
Does
makes
matter
it worse.
now?
I think them winning last year was a really bad precedent because they're a franchise that like has won so much that cup thing didn't really matter that much, but then also they flamed out in the playoffs, and so it didn't go out to show anything really. I mean,
Well, the Pacers made their run off of it though, and they credited it to that.
I don't know. I have to give a shout out to Bobby. He's the only reporter that's been on the cup story. I'm realizing post game he
For
has
a
been
reason,
asked. I didn't see his mess. No, but I think it is something that happened.
These reporters want to keep their jobs.
And get a trip to Vegas.
No, I think I do think that it's a topic that we should be asking and covering because honestly, we only know what Sam Hauser thinks because it's the only player that has been asked. I do think though that this is just off of a championship. It's like the all-time low that this franchise, this city, the fans are going to care about this. Like maybe in a different era, in a different moment, a different market, like this would matter more. This is like the epitome of a confluence of all the factors why like this team today is not going to care. Personally, the fact that $500,000 is not moving people is actually, it's stunning to me, because even guys that are, Peyton Pritchard's making what, $8 million a year, and taxes and everything, that $500,000 is like it's pretty substantial. So I'm surprised that the financial incentive, not to mention like all the two-way guys, is not more. But clearly it's not, because that Atlanta game was like the worst game of the season. So it wasn't that
the
they came
guys
out and,
that need the money aren't the ones that are
They're
starting
not
in
playing.
these games. Yeah, they're watching. They're like sitting there on the
that's
bench, like praying to God that they can pull out the win. But they're.
I'll bet you
they're not.
JD Davison was thinking like, man, if I got out there, this would be a completely different game. This would be like Portland, Maine, in Boston. I would be balling
exactly.
out.
Exactly. But
No,
listen, if Bobby wants to ask questions about the cup or write articles, that's fine. The angle should
No,
be.
I think he should. I was not slighting him. I was crediting
I know
him
you
for
think he
remaining
should.
on topic.
I think he should too. But the article should be, what's wrong with the cup? How can we make it better? It shouldn't be, how bummed are you that you're not in the cup anymore? Because
yeah. And Joe is mentioned, obviously, and I can't get a grasp for whether Joe won it or not, because last year he's fouling, drumming, and going crazy, running up the score, and then today it didn't sound like he cared at all. So I'm sure it's a winner's, you love to be a part of it, and if you're out of it, who cares? So
yeah, and that's the attitude. But Bobby, that's the attitude of a franchise that has bigger goals and
Bigger
aspirations than the Cup. If
but do you think it benefits them from not being in it, Sherrod, or would they gain something from being in it?
Jimmy and I, we talked about this earlier. You get more rest. You play two teams that you should be able to beat and not have to be at full strength to do so, and it pads your record. It gives you a little bit better opportunity to have that number one seed, which is what you ideally want. If you have a choice between the number one seed in the Eastern Conference going into the playoffs versus an NBA Cup championship, you're going to take that number one seed. You are absolutely going to take that.
And what's going to happen? Sorry.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
No, finish. Sorry.
No, and to me, the more I think about this cup, and I think it's a great idea for franchises that still haven't quite embraced or haven't had a chance to really soak in the success of being a top tier elite championship caliber franchise. But for most teams like the Celtics, this is like the NIT preseason NIT tournament in college basketball. It'd be nice to win it, but you have much bigger aspirations.
Syracuse knows a thing or two about NIT recently, don't they?
Hey, Suffolk, take it easy.
And God forbid a superstar NBA player gets hurt at a point in a cup game where he probably wouldn't be in, because they're trying to, like, I don't know, win by a certain amount. And I like running up the score, and I've flip-flopped in a way. I flip-flopped in a way on it, because I think
the margin's the best part.
If winning the cup meant more, I would be more on board with the cup. So make it.
And I
worth
like the
something.
idea of the team that wins it.
So go on.
Getting an automatic playoff berth or something significant. I don't think that.
But that wouldn't impact the Celtics either.
No,
they're going to the playoffs, so it's not.
I mean, what can you give them that the Celtics guaranteed?
The problem with that, Bobby,
to
is
the finals. There's nothing that can motivate the Celtics significantly. And again, it's not like the Celtics completely punted this thing. They were drawing up plays at the end of that Bulls game and doing the differential thing, but they got caught off guard in that Hawks game. And unfortunately, this thing's like one night off and you can be out of it. So I'm not pissed that the Celtics didn't take it super seriously. I'm just bummed that they're not in it, and that they won't have the experience to play against some of the best teams in the league this week.
Sure.
It is a pretty good cast of teams that's in it. It was better than I thought. I thought initially that it was kind of a motley crew,
Warriors,
but Western
Rockets,
Conference is pretty much like the top team so far. I think over time, though, like as years move on, if this sticks, it will just gain a significance that's beyond like the monetary incentive. It's just going to be a certain tradition. Like my dad played basketball overseas, and he was telling me that the goal was to always win the championship at the end of the year, but also to win the mid-season tournament. And teams wanted to go for the clean sweep and do both. And there's no talk. Nobody's talking, I want to win the cup and the championship because that would cement our legacy as a team. Like that's not a thing, because it literally just started. But maybe in 30 years, if this thing actually sticks around, then winning both is like a. Yeah, so maybe we're just in the early days here, and some of us aren't seeing the light.
There'd have to be some more pride attached to it in some capacity. Fans have to get behind it, but like, I just can't really care if the winning the reason behind it is like the players that are already millionaires get another like $1 million or like whatever. I need more. Give me another reason.
No, it's a fair point.
And auto playoff bid sounds great, but what are you gonna do? Give a team an auto playoff bid in December and they can just coast the rest of the year? Like that's problematic in ways too. So
well, you're still playing for seeding, but yeah,
they're gonna have to figure something out. I don't know what it is. We're not gonna figure it out on the show tonight, but it is interesting discussion, and it's obviously a polarizing discussion because some people are really on board with it and some people not so much. I will say I loved this year. I loved the Celtics court. I thought it was wild and just something interesting to switch it up a little bit. So I will miss the Celtics court. How about that?
Bold take, but
yeah,
more power to you.
What else from you guys at the you know
so
what?
You don't want to talk about Luke.
Noah, I'm
What
gonna
am I
pass the
supposed to
baton
say
to
about
you
Luke?
today.
Bobby's like,
put it this way.
Is it like
You
a
don't
discussion
talk-
question?
Bobby, if you
Is it
don't want to
just
talk
Luke?
about him, I don't think we're gonna talk about him. No, I just think
Bobby's like, damn it, Noah,
think
I
I did
don't
it.
want to talk about my Luke.
I think I did it so well on
night
Monday.
we can talk about it.
I think you did a good.
Well, listen, tonight a near double-double for Luke. I'll talk about him then. A near double-double for Luke. I thought he showed a lot of energy out there, up and down with the young Pistons team. We even got the little mix-it-up thing. And you talked about it.
Luke played well, Jimmy. Luke played well.
I think Bobby mentioned it, or it had to have been him, but just doesn't take for granted being out there. Like really appreciates and loves that he's in the NBA, and like he's kind of like
That
in
might have
on
been John.
He's kind of like in on the joke. Would you
Yeah,
agree?
he's got the celebrations. Kristaps talked about in his post game there that there's always something, and Brown's called him the ultimate teammate and the impact. I think the most telling quote was Monday, Joe saying when he plays physical, when he imprints himself on the game, his size, his length, all that, it's a different story for this team. And they need him to be physical in the screening game on offense, offensive rebounding. And then defensively, I think what we've seen over the last 2 games here is him be more aggressive, contesting shots, blocking shots. I think he mentioned the other day not wanting a foul or playing a little, careful when he's contesting shots or defending shots around the rim. It feels like they're starting to pressure him to be more aggressive, maybe foul a little bit more, but block more shots out there. And that's a tough balance to strike, but he's done it well these last 2 games.
Yeah, I thought that was a very illuminating series of press conferences the other day, just about how he started the year less physical than he is used to. And I think the big evolution with him is embracing that physicality over the last few years. Like if you talk to anybody around the organization, like that's what they're going to point to around why Luke has managed to be so effective. So I honestly didn't really realize that that's what was going on early on. I'm sure if we went back and watched film, we could probably pinpoint that was maybe what was keeping him off the floor or making him not as impactful as he's been in the past. But yeah, you're certainly seeing him kind of impact the team the way that he did last year. He was one of the stories last year. Like it seems far away now, but he really was a revelation for how he was able to fill in during the regular season and play significant minutes. And I think you're seeing more of that now. And then all the team stuff, the energy stuff. I don't think that you can measure that, but it really does have a big impact. And I thought Kristaps left some things unsaid in that post-game presser. Like it looked like he wanted to say more about Luke, but he just left it at that. But yeah, he's been really good these last few games. I think he's really hitting his groove here.
We have a clip from Sam Hauser, and I think you guys were there for Hauser, but if Jackson wants to toss it up, we'll hear what Hauser has to say here.
Most athletic big in the soccer room.
100%. Right, Luke?
Say yes.
For sure. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I feel like every time you add a person back in the lineup from injury, it takes maybe a game or 2 to get adjusted to that. But, we're confident in what Kristaps brings to the table. He makes us a very good team. I mean, it happens. You try not to think about it too much. You just try to put the work
crushing
every day.
chips.
Sherrod.
Try to trust the process of your
Yep,
work.
that's me.
The process of your shooting or process of the way you play the game. If the process is right.
See that? Accountability, Jimmy. Own that shit. Own it.
But sometimes, you just have to battle through some stuff. But we're in a good place right now.
It's a lot of Sam Hauser media today. Morning, night. It's a big day for him.
A lot of Hauser.
Sam Hauser Day.
I got super familiar with Sam tonight, yeah.
I don't even want to know what that means.
Good to have him back. We talked a ton
good.
about it, Noah, earlier. And we talked about it on Monday, too, right? him climbing back from that hole to begin the season, and you're just seeing the steps almost with every game here. And we said, is that back still a factor there? I did see him wearing the back thing again on the bench here today, and I'm sure it's something that's going to come and go throughout the year. But I do feel like we're starting to see a steady progression upward from him.
Yeah, and I have to say, like, people in the comment sections, on the internet, I've seen so much Sam Hauser slander over these last few weeks. And honestly, I don't think he's one of those guys that we need to be constantly evaluating whether he's good and whether he's an NBA player and whether he's going to be impactful or whether his contract's worthwhile. Like, I think he's proven himself at this point, and because he's a three-point shooter and just the role that he has, sometimes inconsistent touches, inconsistent minutes, like, he's going to have his highs and lows, but it's going to eventually level out. And, I know he had a slow start shooting-wise, percentages-wise to the regular season, and some of that's probably his back, some of it's just it happens. But I think that tonight was a good example of like how much he can impact the game. He had 14 points in that third quarter, really massive contributions, and we're going to see a lot more of these types of performances as the year goes on. As the year goes on, it's not going to be like he really had an uncharacteristic stretch there, and I think this is just a reminder that it really was just a contained stretch. And I'm obsessed with that stat line. I literally say it every show, I feel like. But the fact that he's never shot below 40% from three in a season, like that's not anything outside of that is going to be an outlier, and it's probably not going to happen this year. Like he's probably going to shoot 40% when it's all said and done. So his good shooting is probably coming.
Facts, my dog. Any players that you guys want to hit on that we haven't yet? Because we're about almost an hour and a half in. We talked about Brown off the top of the show, Noah. I'm not sure if you really got a chance to say your piece on him at all, but just a massive start to this game for him, and reminiscent of prior seasons when he would kind of set the tone for the Celtics team. Does that tonight, but not by jacking threes, by being the aggressive, head down, drag to the paint, dunk over beef stew, slit the throat.
Oh, that was great.
Shout out Gary for asking the question. That's the Jaylen Brown that's like, in my opinion, that's the best version of Jaylen Brown, is just like in your face, savage Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he knows how to do it without losing his focus or going overboard. Like he's capable of balancing that. I thought Kristaps Porzingis probably said it best post-game in the way that he described Jaylen Brown. He basically saying, his motor is insane, like everything that he's doing on the defensive end, on the, just putting all the, pressure on the rim, tonight playmaking. But yeah, this is him at his best. And I really do think that, he's had a little bit of an inefficient start to the year. I think his numbers are below the last couple of seasons. I think that not playing the full first quarter has hurt him, and it hasn't necessarily hurt the team, so maybe it doesn't matter. But I know the one time that he talked about it, he mentioned that it was a little bit of an adjustment, but you're seeing when he gets to play that second half of the first quarter against other teams' bench units, is a lot of times is when he does his damage. And I think he benefited from that today, the same way that Jason Tatum has benefited from playing the entire first quarter. So it's one of those things where like it's almost like if you're selected to play the whole first quarter, it's going to help your stats a little bit. And right now Jason Tatum's benefiting from it, but I thought that helped set the tone for him for this game. And even when he maybe missed some shots down the stretch, I thought he was overall very impactful in this game. So yeah, just another good performance, and I do feel like it brings out the best in him when he has a little bit of like a rivalry or a little bit of trash talk with an opposing player. Like he's talked about it, how he's always looking for something to motivate him, and so I think this time he didn't really have to look that hard, but it's always good when there's some angle like that to his game.
And he also mentioned something that I've pointed at for a couple of seasons, that like the Celtics team, there are a lot of things, but I wouldn't say that they're like a rough and tough, like scary team out in the court. But Jaylen Brown is kind of taking it upon himself to make opposing teams think that they're different now. Like they aren't going to get pushed around. A little bit of KG perhaps getting in his ear, who knows? But that going back to 07 and 08, Bobby, teams did not want to play that version of the Boston Celtics team, not because they were worried about getting outscored by 50 points, but because they thought that they were going to get their asses kicked physically. And so this Celtics team is a little bit, it's different. It's a different league now. There's 63 pointers being shot, so the physicality is not going to be the same. But if you come at the Celtics, Jaylen Brown wants you to know that they're going to come back at you, and that's kind of, I think, a good example of tonight would be a number of occasions, whether it was Brown and Porzingis getting in on it later in the game as well.
Facts, my dog.
There you go. Facts, my dog. Hey, when you're right, you're right. There's nothing else you can really say about that. Anything else you guys want to hit on before we call it? Because I do have a little.
Last thing I'll say is just I thought it was a good vibe in here today. Like the energy in the building. That there haven't been that many
Pass the vibe
fast
check?
starts.
Did you guys see
I
the
thought so.
Kristaps thing on TV? That was pretty cool.
That was cool.
I did not.
So he got
That doesn't-
fouled late in the fourth, and
Oh,
went
yeah,
behind
yeah,
the
we saw that.
basket, and pumped up the crowd. And
Yeah,
he's
that-
the only guy who does that, right? He's the only guy who interacts directly with the crowd consistently to that level. And so again, you're seeing all these things: him being back, the impact it makes, the rim protection, the post ups, them having that face up layer to the offense, and then getting the crowd involved in a game like this. Again, this isn't a cup matchup, Jimmy. You don't have that getting the crowd going.
That's true.
You needed Kristaps going back there and pumping him up.
But we just haven't had fast starts. That was the main thing.
Yeah,
That
21-7,
it's been so many
right?
games now where they're trailing a little, or it's neck and neck for the first 7 minutes. And I feel like last season, one of the hallmark characteristics of being in this building was that there was like a 10-point lead in the beginning of the first quarter, and the crowd is building off of that, and it just sets the tone. And they really benefited from that hot start today, even though it was pretty close down the stretch. Like I think it just set the tone. And I don't know, it was a little bit of a different feeling in here. It was like a veteran celebration. Military veterans. So I don't know if it was maybe like a little.
I think.
Thank you. I couldn't remember
Yes.
the terminology.
Yes.
That's what it was. So a lot of season ticket holders donated their seats to military veterans, and
Yeah.
I don't know if that had anything to do with the fact that I
That's
felt
a
the
good
crowd was a
point.
little more lively. But sometimes those like special themed nights bring out a little bit of a different energy.
You kind of maybe touched on something you didn't even know it, Bobby. How it wasn't a cup game, so the fans weren't pumped out about that. But what if I'm just spitballing here?
Oh boy.
Cup games, fans, it could making the games different or more meaningful from a cup standpoint might have something to do with fans. Think about that. Just think about that. I don't know exactly what, but it could be something there. How does the in-arena atmosphere change for a cup game? What's different maybe with the sound systems, with the certain chants? Maybe you can get a European vibe in there
Let's
somehow.
marinate on that one. We can marinate on
Just
that
think
one.
about that.
It's
Everyone
the
just
next-
think
Yeah,
about
we're gonna hit on it in our video in a few minutes here. So
Hit on
stay
that in
tuned.
the
We're
video,
doing a
Bobby.
cup video.
It'll be part of it.
Oh, you're doing a
Oh,
cup video, all right.
Yay.
I think that'll do it for us, guys. Exactly. Yeah,
It's wrapped.
The Luke will do it. Before we go, though, I got to say this. Spotify Wrapped came out today or yesterday, this week, and everyone thinks of Spotify Wrapped as, who my top artists are, what my top songs, my genres, I listen to the blah, blah, blah. They also do podcasts. And we just want to thank everybody who listens to us in podcast form. A lot of people I know are watching on YouTube, whether it's live or whether it's
Tweet
rerun.
it out. Blue
But
Sky,
we are available on
Instagram, we'll repost it.
we are available on Apple, on Spotify, anywhere you want your
All your
podcast.
podcasting apps.
We started off as a podcast, believe it or not. And I tweeted this out earlier. I said if we were a top 5 listen on your podcast, shoot me a screenshot. I'll give you a shout out. So I got Kevin Seville. Thank you very much. We got J-Way Ball. Thank you very much. Top 3. We got Jason Flo. Top 3. And he said also, that was a YouTube replay top 3. And we got, there's one other dude who said, if there was a YouTube rap, this would be my number 1 by a mile. Shout out Kevin Martin. So hopefully there's a lot more of you guys out there, but just wanted to say thanks for the support. Bobby and Noah have a couple of things they're cooking up in the lab for YouTube. Sounds like one of them is going to be a bit of a whiff on the cup, but the other one might be worth a listen or a watch.
Damn.
I want to thank you guys for joining us. Sherrod, as always, it's great to see you. Okay. We have a
Damn.
little Busta Rhymes going on as well in the background. When's the next game? Friday?
Friday against the Bucks.
Friday
Good
against the Bucks. Eastern Conference matchup. The Bucks are winning a little bit, right? They're
Yeah,
not
won 9 of 10.
Look at that.
Didn't
Look
they just
at that.
They got cracked today, didn't they? Didn't they play tonight?
If they played today, I didn't notice.
I haven't
but
checked any of the
9 of
scores
10
yet
before today. Yep.
Well, regardless, the Bucks are back. Friday's
playing good-
game.
They played yesterday. They smoked the Pistons.
That's right.
They got moved on. Oh, yeah, the Hawks beat them tonight. But
Yeah,
hey,
the Hawks I thought beat
okay,
it
they're
tonight.
back
Yeah.
to
That's
the
the
Hawks
NBA.
are not that bad.
Yeah.
That's
They
like
always
put
play
that,
the
beating
Celtics
everybody.
up, too.
put that on
Yeah.
the Bucks tombstone. they're not that bad. But like that's the Hawks. Like they might get you on any given night, but they're never gonna they're a cup team. Like they need to win the cup.
That'd be
That's
big
it for us,
them.
guys. We will see you Friday. Jackson, hit me with the outro.
No one's sneaking a vegan brownie by me, I'll tell you that.
Okay, you know what, Don? We're gonna do it.
You have to feel that way too, Bobby.
I have
Say
to
it.
feel
You
that
said
way.
it.
Let's fight Al over and make Luke your first center.
Bobby, we gave you Luke hour early. We are not going to end this on a damn conversation about Luke